Many Canadians, Ari, are crossing their fingers for an interest rate cut later this year, and some of that could depend on what happens south of the border.
And indeed, so we are hoping that interest rates come down, not necessarily like a roller coaster, because that may not be the soft landing that central banks like to refer to, but they are hoping to bring those rates down at some point this year. Today, we heard from the U.S. Federal Reserve, so stateside, interest rates staying unchanged, which is more or less what analysts were hoping for, or at least expecting. What they were hoping for was a rate cut, but central banks have signaled that it's still too early to cut rates, although what was good news for investors today in the U.S. at least is that even though inflation is still a little bit sticky south of the border, interest rate cuts are still on the table, and the central bank isn't pivoting from that outlook at all, Cynthia. So that could be good news in the short term. Still, June is the outlook, and that includes on our side of the border as well. But again, the Bank of Canada stresses that they work independently from the U.S. Fed.
Okay, now artificial intelligence has already taken hold in many industries, and pharmaceuticals could be next.
Yeah, it's unclear exactly what this might look like down the line, but it's interesting coming from a company that goes from making a lot of weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy to now announcing that they're investing in a company called Eviden. And Eviden is going to be working on a form of supercomputer for Novo Nordisk, the makers of Wegovy and other weight loss drugs. And it's going to be used to discover new medications and treatments, and it will be powered by NVIDIA's AI technology. Eviden says it will be one of the most powerful in the world and could be used for some pilot projects before the end of the year. It's going to be interesting what this could mean for the pharmaceutical industry or even weight loss drugs in particular, now that companies like Novo Nordisk are really prioritizing that kind of sector.
Right. Okay. Now let's turn to food, Ari. Not every restaurant is struggling right now, and one chain stock is so hot, it's being split in half.
For sure. So it's definitely a spicy burrito we're talking about today, Cynthia, with shares of Chipotle up today on Wall Street by 3.5%. The stock is up almost 30% so far this year. And because of the strong earnings that they've been seeing, a lot of strong sales, even in light of some weaker sales at the competition, the stock is up 6,000% since it first went public back in 2006. The stock started at about $42 or so, US, of course. It's now worth nearly $3,000. It's another one of those situations, Cynthia, where if only I knew back then. Right?
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, right, Ari? I mean, who knew that that chain was so popular?
At least the burritos are pretty good.
I haven't tried one. Maybe I should. All right, Ari.
They're great.
Thanks so very much for joining us today.